So I'm not wearing any makeup as per usual. I think that's pretty much just expected of me now not to wear makeup, given the fact, even though this is a makeup channel, I don't wear makeup when I'm doing videos like this. But anyways, this is going to be a nose piercing FAQ, which is facts and questions about it. No one really asked me any questions, but I thought I'd give you a rundown of the experience, what it's like to have your nose pierced and stuff. So I'm going to zoom in a bit and kind of show you guys this sucker. If you guys have been watching me for a while, if you guys have seen me in person, if you guys follow me on Instagram, you would know that I do have my nose pierced, as you guys can see. And I've had it pierced for 7 months, almost. I got it pierced December 15th, which I remember because I got it pierced the day after my birthday. So I thought I'd tell you guys a bit about my experience and my thoughts about it and just a whole what has happened to me while I've had it. So my piercing experience, I'm not a piercing person. I've never really had a lot of piercings. I have my earlobes pierced. I've only had one piercing on my ears, and then I got my nose ring. But I got my ears pierced when I was 11, and I got my nose pierced when I was 16. Well, I am 16, but I got it pierced when I was 16. So that gave me 5 years of time to heal from the experience of piercing is. And you guys know that earlobes are not bad piercings because they use a gun, unlike noses, which they basically jab a needle through your nose. So there's quite a difference between those two piercings, but my overall experience with it was it hurt a good amount. I feel like it shouldn't have been completely numb. I don't think that's possible. It did hurt a lot. The guy, basically, he took it was like a little clip that had holes in it. If you guys have gotten piercings before, you guys would know what I'm talking about. But basically he clamped down on it, and then he was like, breathe in, exhale, and I didn't breathe in and exhale, and so he just shoved the needle in me. I'm like, oh, okay. So the needle sat there for I think he let it set for 30 seconds because my eyes were watering like crazy. My nerves were going crazy. Your eyes water because of the nerves in your face. Usually it's on the side of your face that you're getting your nose pierced, but for me, since I'm a huge baby, it was on both my eyes. So he's like, okay, you need to calm down and blot your tears. So that's what I did. I was just kind of dabbing my face, and so then eventually he was like, okay, you ready? And he put in the nose ring, and I bled quite a bit because, as I said before, I'm a baby and my nerves were all worked up, so my heart was really pumping, so it was pumping a lot of blood. But it wasn't like I was bleeding because he did it wrong or something, no. So that's kind of just the rundown of how my piercing went originally. Next, sorry if I'm looking down, I'm looking at my phone because I wrote down a bunch of stuff. So next thing is my troubles with it. My troubles with my nose ring. A lot of people say that your nose is really sensitive to that stuff, and you really want to be careful with making sure it heals properly. I feel like that goes with any piercing, but you want to make sure that your nose is intact and it's not gonna deform your nostril. With me, I had something called a keloid, which is sort of like built-up scar tissue, which happens after a lot of piercings. But since I'm not a piercing person, I didn't know that, and I was like, it's an infection, must clean it. So I cleaned it a crap ton, and it got worse. It got way worse. And then eventually one of my friends was like, dude, stop cleaning it, because she's had more piercings than me. So she was like, well, maybe you're cleaning it too much. I'm like, okay, maybe I won't clean it as much. So I just didn't clean it as much, and then it went sort of back to normal and stuff. But every now and then it inflames. Like when I get a cold, sometimes it'll inflame a little bit. So keep up with that. If you feel like you're getting a cold, make sure you clean it. Don't overdo it, guys. Don't clean it 6 times a day. That's what my piercer told me to do, so that's what I did. And it ended up screwing me. So clean it reasonably, clean it once a day. Make sure you get it clean. Don't just leave it there to rot. So, but that was my trouble with it. The healing process, my piercer told me to wait 4 to 5 months. He said, I say 5 because, it's more reliable. Some people say that their piercing is healed within a month. Some people say it heals within a year. You know, for me, I changed my nose ring first in March, so it was like 3 months after I got it pierced. So I changed it then, and you know, I didn't have any problems with it. It wasn't bad at all, but just make sure you kind of you don't just like, oh, I'm gonna rip out my nose ring and hope that it'll stay open, because I just think you should be safe. Like, don't change it within a month or something. I feel like that's a bit too, like, you might need to get it re-pierced, but just like wait a few months and then change it. Or you could do what your piercer tells you to do. Like, he'll say wait this amount of months like mine did, even though I kind of cheated and I waited only 3 months because I was kind of like, I'm not waiting 5 months, screw it. So that's kind of what happened to me. Everyone heals differently. I don't even know if I was completely healed by 3 months. I mean, it didn't close up, but I don't know. Okay. Next is I'm going to talk to you about the rings. There's certainly a few different types of rings. I am not at my house right now, so I can't show you all the rings. But originally, they pierce your nose with this, well, it's how I got my nose pierced, with a ring called a cork, or some people call it a screw. I don't know. It's kind of like, it's curved. Like, I want to sort of show you, but the one that I wore, the stone fell out of it, so I threw it away. But basically, it's kind of like it goes straight down, and then it curves. So, if that makes sense to you guys. It's really hard to get in and take out, so that's why they pierce it with it, usually. Some people pierce it with a nose bone, which is a straight one that looks like the back of an earring. Some people pierce it with an L, which I'll get to in a minute. But, I got pierced with a corkscrew because it was basically the hardest thing to get out and in, so it wouldn't just fall out during the night when it should be healing. So I guess that was a score one for me. But make sure your piercer either pierces it with an L or a screw, or a corkscrew, rather, whatever you want to call it, because those will not fall out. Do not have them pierce it with a bone, which I'm going to show you. This is one of the nose bones that I own. It is basically like an earring. Oof, it's basically like an earring. It's kind of just, it's straight. This one is actually a really good nose bone. I actually got this from icing because it has a little ball at the end, if you guys can tell. Can you guys see that? See, it's got a little indentation, so it kind of stays in better than a lot of nose bones. A lot of nose bones aren't like that, so I guess that's good, but you gotta be careful. Make sure you don't get your nose pierced with a nose bone. If he's gonna pierce it with a nose bone, either say, do it with a screw or an L, or just go to a different piercer, because that's basically what it should be. Then there's an L, which I have in right now, which basically is just shaped like an L. Like, I have a pack of them right here. As you guys can see, it's just like, it's an L. See? It's just like an L. So, like, you put it in, and then you kind of curve it a little bit. It's easier to get in than a screw, because you aren't completely twisting your hand to get it in, but it's one of those things that's going to stay in. I'm actually wearing an L right now, because L's are good, and they'll stay in, so definitely those are the types of rings they have. They also have hoops, which they have a bunch of different types of those. I've never really tried any of them. I personally don't want to have a hoop. I feel the way I got it pierced, I bought hoops before, but the way I got it pierced, the hoops that I bought were like too small, and like my nostril, or like I got it pierced up here. Some people get it like pierced in the middle of their nostril, but I got it pierced sort of like right at this little corner of it, so like there's a bit more of a space there than with a lot of other people's piercings, so but it's whatever. I mean, I don't think I exactly want a hoop per se, because it's easier when you do sports not to have a hoop. So I don't really know much about that, so please don't ask me about that. And overall, get this, I know there's a lot of people who ponder getting a nose ring and stuff. It was one of those things that I wanted for a while. I don't really want piercings, but I've always wanted a belly button ring, a nose ring, and maybe a second ear piercing too. I'm thinking about it, but I don't know. But I'm not a huge piercing person. but I actually do really like this. I think the experience with this is it's really cool. I really like the way it looks on me. You should get this if your nose is kind of on the small side. I don't mean to discriminate against people who have larger noses, but if your nose is more like, say, abstract shaped, more pointy, or more like, if it's larger, I really don't think you should get a nose ring. I'm not saying don't do it, or like, ew, you're gonna look ugly if you do, but it's it really emphasizes on your nose even more. So if you get like a nose ring and you have a giant odd shaped nose or something like that, it won't look good. And again, I don't really mean to discriminate. I'm not saying that you shouldn't, that like, oh, you're not allowed to if you have a bird nose, but I just think it'd look better on someone who has a smaller nose, because, you know, like, I don't want to be mean about it. Like I said, I'm just trying to, like, if you have a smaller nose, more petite nose, something that isn't too oddly shaped, that's kind of simple, sort of like mine, I think you'd look good with a nose ring. But if you have a larger nose, keep in caution that you may not look as good as some other people would with it. So get this if maybe your nose is more simple looking. Also get this if you are okay with piercings, like if you have more experience with it, or you're okay with the pain, because piercings, this was not comfortable. Maybe if you've been pierced more than me, it's probably more comfortable for you, but for me it wasn't comfortable, but I was okay with it. So if you really want it, you should get it, because it sucks, the pain sucks a little bit, but in the end it's worth it. So if you really want it, I think it's something you should totally get. Just keep in mind that, you know, you could mess up your nose if you don't keep care of it. So if you're not going to take care of it, it's not like an ear piercing. This hole will close up within a matter of 10 minutes. If you have the nose ring out for that long, it could and will close up. So if you're going to be really lenient and not really going to care about it, don't get it pierced. Like, it's something that isn't forgiving like ear piercings, because guys, I rarely wear earrings, and I'll put an earring in every 3 months and my ears won't get sore or get infected, but with this you cannot do that. So just a little thing to set on the table there for you guys. Overall, I'm pretty happy with my nose ring. I don't know when I'll take it out. I'll probably take it out when I'm older, way older, like when I just don't want it anymore. But for now, I think it's just really fun. It's something that I just want to have while I'm young and stuff. So yeah, if you guys have any other questions, just leave it in the comment section below. Also, if you want to see me put in a nose ring, which I didn't show in this video because I already made a video back in like, what, April, on how to do that, I could link that in the description box, but it's not that old. I think it's a couple months old, so it's not bad. But that's basically how to put in a nose bone, which is a straight nose ring, as I showed you guys earlier. If you guys want me to show you how to put in an L shape, I can do that for you. You know, just kind of leave it all in the down bar, and I'll get back to you. Probably not in a video, unless it's how to put in a nose ring, but like probably in the comments or in a message or something like that. So, it's my nose ring experience. I will talk to you guys later then. Bye.